How crazy that I'm up here. Welcome. You can all hear me, so I don't have to be right. Do I need to be right here? Hello. Better? Okay. Welcome. So our fabulous 7th grade will be leading our service this morning with the help of Rabbi Katz when it's time. Cantor Braun is not here, so Mrs. Rizzo and I are going to be supporting, or else I'm here. I'm not a singer, so please help me. But I know my prayers, and I will chant prayers and I will chant Torah, but I'm not a singer, so just please join in whenever. We have a couple students who hopefully will be coming late and aren't here, so we're just going to fill in and wing it with however it goes. But I welcome you all to our wonderful Shabbat morning service. If you don't know me, I'm Mrs. Rosenberg, the 7th grade teacher. And we are going to begin. I should get a Siddur as well. There's one here. There's one. We're going to begin on 192. And please, if you have not silenced your cell phones, please do. Because we want to be able to hear the students and not the cell phones. We're going to be starting on page 192 with Alyssa. Please join in with the students as well.
Please turn to page 195. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom, you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, or one of them to fail. How well we are aware we would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh kol b'sher, v'matzli na'asot.
Please turn to page 198. Yep. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan sikvi vina lahavchin ben yom u'bein laila. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hokeach ivrim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamakim mitzadei gaver. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam mabish arumim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten liya'ef koach. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir shena me'einaim utmuma me'afapai. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai She'asani b'tselem Elohim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani ben chorin.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozir Yisrael bigvura.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara.
Please turn to page 224 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkada v'yitkadash shemei Rabba Be'alma divra chirute Be'amlich malchute B'chayechon uvyomechon Uchayer de kol beit Yisrael Bagala bagala Ubizman kariv Ve'imeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'alam u'amei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach V'yitvar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudesha Barechu Le'ela mikol birchata B'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Da'amiran ba'alma Ve'imeru Amen. Please turn to page 226 for the Bachu. Please rise. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever.
Please turn to page 229 for the Yotzer. Right? In the beginning, even then, a new light was sown for the righteous, and a promise that your light would become the catalyst, first for order, then for hope. Author of language and light, help us to use words as you have, to cast light into dark waters and draw out justice and truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer Haolam.
Please turn to page 231 for the Ahava Rabbah.
Love your neighbor as yourself, you said. And light blinded we saw that inner and outer worlds are one, as you are one. You spoke and we wrote, we reached for you down the sanctuaries. Your light moving before us as we climbed, fell back and climbed again. Your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai, haboher le'amo Yisrael b'ahava.
Turn to page 232, which is Shema. Shema Israel, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivo, Maruto, Le'amam Va'ed. Hear us will, Adonai. Our God, bless our God, Adonai is one. Bless our God, your God's majesty forever and ever. Please keep seated.
Please turn to page 234 for the Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Please turn to 239. The eternal truth is that you alone are God, there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
They should not lift up sword against nation, nor
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
the stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your people, for you were strangers in the land of the living.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asks God.
Know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Please turn to page 240 for the Mi HaMoha. Mi HaMoha ba'elim Adonai, Mi HaMoha neder b'hodesh, Nora tehilo osei felen, Nora tehilo osei felen.
Shira Hadasha Shibhu Geulim Lishemacha al Sifat Hayam. Yahad Kulam Hodu Vehim Lehu Ve'amru Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed.
Tor Yisrael Kuma Be'ezrat Yisrael Ufdei Chinumecha Behudu Ve'Yisrael Ge'olenu Adonai Sevaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Please turn to page 242 for the tefillah and please rise. Adonai Sifatai Tifta Ufi Agi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Ge'ula Livnei V'neihem L'man Shemo Me'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Mogen Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham v'Yisrael Sarah.
Please turn to page 246 for the Giver. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayei hakol atah rav le'oshia, mashiv haruach umarid hagashem, mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim berofei cholim, umatzir asurim, ומחיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
מקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב ביד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מה אדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיך, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גדלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחה על אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. 9:250, please do Vishamru with me. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את
Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We'll continue on 253 with Asaph.
Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of what the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of hours and days, from the grasps of frantic life. Let me lean to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
Please turn to page 255. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw near to life, to peace, and to joy. May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah. Let us feed on the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness. Restrain our thirst from excess and cleanse our hearts to serve life well. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer in life, in peace, and in joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'olcha levadcha vayira na'avod.
Please turn to page 257 for the Hodah. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations. Modim anachnu lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons. Modim anachnu. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements. Modim anachnu lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression. Modim anachnu lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared. Modim anachnu. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so others might live in dignity and freedom. Modim anachnu lach. For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. Modim anachnu lach. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, havod sikah uka ne'el hadot.
We'll sing Shalom together. Sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uveracha. And we're just going to keep it really short so that we can move on. Thank you. We like to keep things short. So please take a moment, silent reflection. You can look at the readings on 260, 261, or you can have your own prayer, but it's important that we always take a little bit of time. We'll continue on 260 with Yehiyu Leratzon. Yehiyu Leratzon, Imre fi, vehegyon libi lefanecha. Yehiyu Leratzon, Imre fi, vehegyon libi lefanecha.
Elohecha. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri v'goali. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri v'goali.
Now we come to the highlight, the Torah service. So we're going to turn to page 362. And I wonder if Mrs. Rizzo and Toby would open the ark. Please. And we'll all turn to page 362 and we'll start at the top while they get ready to open the ark. What? 362. 362. Yep, absolutely. 362 looks like this. It says at the top center, so we're going to do the first one. Hey, come on, Elohim Adonai, ve'im k'maasecha, malchutecha, malchut, kol olamim, u'machshavtecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimlok le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Please rise while they open the Aharavim, eitiva v'tzon ha'etzion. Tifnei chomot Yerushalayim, ki lecha levad batavnu, elecha ram v'nisa, adon olamim. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Gadol Shemo. Gadol Adonai iti, Onerona Shemo yachdav. Yeah. Adonai, Ayidu, Ayidu, Atiferet, Yanei Tzaveh Yikol hashamayim u'haaretz, Yikol hashamayim u'haaretz. Adonai, Rabbi, Naseh This morning we'll be reading from Parashat Mishpatim. I believe it's page 519. And I'm going to call up Charlie Faber for the Aliyah. Just want to make sure I can find my spot. There, that's that.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvorah. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bechar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Go ahead and do that, and then I'll blessing after. Wait. It was 23-1. Okay, go ahead and take up
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet B'chayei Olam Neta B'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
This is a great, what we call a teaching moment. I chant Torah usually like twice a year, and there's never been a time when I haven't made a mistake, and so it's a good thing for students to learn that you don't have to be perfect when you chant Torah, but you have to chant Torah. And so this was the perfect example of not being perfect when chanting Torah, but chanting Torah. So we're going to kind of address the Torah before we do the Haftarah. So if you, since it's in the ark reading, please rise, and we're going to address the Torah, and then we'll do our Haftarah.
Okay, I sit down. Who's
We'll
that?
address it, and then we'll.
Who's this?
That's what I was.
Oh,
Welcome
okay.
to you.
That's fine.
You may stay seated, and the Haftarah this morning will be chanted by Mrs. Rizzo, and Milo will do the blessings before us.
Okay. What do I do? Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar B'nvim Tovim V'ratza V'divrei Anamarim Be'emet. Baruch Atah Adonai Abocher B'Torah U'Moshe Avdo U'Yisrael Amo U'Vinvi'ei Ha'emet V'Tzedek.
Vayehi Devar Adonai El Yirmiyahu Meit Adonai Lemor Ko Amar Adonai Elohei Yisrael Anochi Karati Verit Et Avotechem Le'yom hotzi otam me'eretz Mitzrayim מבית עבדים לאמור, מקץ 7 שנים תשלחו איש את אחיו העברי אשר ימכר לך בעבדיך 6 שנים ושילחתו חפשי מעמך ולא שמעו אבותיכם אלי ולא הטו את אזנם ותשובו אתם היום ותעשו את הישר בעיני לקרוא דרור איש לרעהו ותכרתו וריד לפני הבית אשר נקרא שמי עליו ותשובו ותחללו את שמי ותשיבו איש את עבדו ואיש את שפחתו אשר שילחתם חפשים לנפשם ותכבשו אותם להיות לכם לעבדים ולמשפחות.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzaddik bechol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת, על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Please rise while we put the Torah back in the ark. We'll turn to page 374. Middle of the page.
is we don't know how to read the Torah portion in the ancient times. I think they apply to us today. I will say the stories, okay, fine. The Lord is saying, like, your ox scores my ox, and it's a punishment to you. What does that mean today? How many oxes do you have? You don't have any oxes? You don't have any oxes? Good. You're afraid, okay. So, we have to look at these things. I need you to get Torah books. So the people that don't know, see if there's any Torah books underneath it, and share them with the person next to you, and look at some of the yours. Hello? Okay, so we got that, and we're going to look at some of the verses, and I want to thank Rabbi Katz for preparing some of this for me. Not me, there's another rabbi. Actually, there are two other Rabbi Katzes. So she said, what are you doing? She says, oh, I have some stuff for that. So I have to water down her stuff because it's just too intellectual for me. And it's also too much. We have to do a lot less than she likes to do. So how about we turn to the Torah portion on page, see if I can find it. It's chapter 21, verse 12, which I believe is on page 514. Okay, I need somebody to read that verse. You guys need Torah books. Is there any behind you to give to these people up here? To share them? Oh, if you have the old version, it's not going to work. Let me just see. Is that the old version? I'm trying to see. I have to see the cover. No, that's new. That's new. Those are the new versions. Okay, yeah, sometimes they have. Okay, so who would like to read verse 12 and 13? Who'd like to read? If you don't say you'd like to, okay, then we have a volunteer.
Wait, in English?
Oh, yes, you don't have to read it in Hebrew.
Okay, thank you.
Tomorrow.
One who fatally strikes another person shall be put to death. If a male killer did not do it by design, but it came about an act of God, I will assign you a place to which he can flee.
Okay, well, stop there. That's enough. So we understand that if somebody causes somebody to kill somebody, right? There was capital punishment mentioned in the Torah. You know how many times it was carried out? Capital punishment? Very little, you're right. One of the rabbis said that if the court convicted capital punishment once in 70 years, it was called a hanging court. And that's negative. That's a bad court. So they really didn't do killing very much as punishment. I don't know what they did some of the time. They did lashes. You want some lashes, anybody? No, eyelashes maybe? Anyway, so that's the first part of the sentence. So that we understand. What is the second part about? Anybody want to tell me what that second part is about? Yeah? Well, yes, it's sort of hard somewhere, but right, not purposely, you go away, yeah? Okay, there are cities called cities of refuge, that you go to these cities. So if you do it not purposely, do you know what that's called today? Does that have anything called today? Any of you? What? It's not murder. It's accidental murder. Anybody know what that's sometimes called? Manslaughter. Okay, so if you didn't mean to do it and it happened, there's a way that you don't get the same punishment. So what are they telling us? What does that mean today for us in terms of courts and laws? We're going to get to personal stuff in a little while. What does it mean that if you killed somebody intentionally, you get a punishment of death? That's the worst. And if you killed them accidentally, you have to be isolated in the city so that they don't kill you. You might go to jail, but in this case, today we would go to jail, right? You might go to jail. So let's say you were driving your car. Do you drive your car much? How about you? No? Okay, so you're driving your car and you accidentally hit somebody. And let's say if you had drunk alcohol, that's more serious. And that you get punished more. But if it was just a total accident, You might go to jail. You might go to jail. But it's less than if I saw you in the street and I didn't like you anymore. No, let's do it the other way. You saw me in the street and you didn't like me anymore. And you really didn't like me because I have to do your bar mitzvah service. So your grandmother doesn't want me to do it. Anyway, and you take your car because you're driving along and you run me over. That's premeditated murder. So that's a harder punishment. Okay? By the way, does anybody know who gets convicted for that? So Jewish law is very complicated, but it says if 2 witnesses say you do it, and if you were warned not to do it. So you really have to, it gets very technical so that we don't put many people to death. I don't like putting people to death, do you? No. Okay, that's the first one. So that's sort of like in general, that's law. We're gonna look at another one. Let's turn to verse, oh, you're gonna love this, verse 15. Who's gonna read verse 15 for me? Okay.
One who strikes one's father or mother shall be put to death.
Wow, how about verse 17?
One who insults one's father or mother shall be put to death.
Everybody hear that? Did the adults hear that too? Because I've heard some of the adults talking that way. It's not age bound. How many of you have had your bar mitzvah already? No, you've got another week. You can still, no, you can't. Okay, so if you're not yet bar bat mitzvah, you're not an adult. You're not responsible for that in the same way. Your parents are actually responsible. But do you know of any other Torah commandment about parents?
Respect your parents.
Respect or honor, right? Okay, so the Torah has this commandment more than once, and it has it in various forms. Okay, guys, did anybody ever say anything nasty to their parents? No, don't raise your hand, please don't. Did any of you ever think about saying something? No, don't raise your hand, don't raise your hand, don't raise your hand. Okay, so this is something that does happen. But the Torah talks about our relationships with each other. It's very important how we treat our parents. So I got your question. Do you think there is a Torah law that says parents must not insult their children or must honor their children? Do you think there's a law? No. How many yeses? No. Okay, how many no's? Okay. There is no law. There is no law. Does that mean they are allowed to do that to you? No. No, it's not mean it's allowed. The Torah sort of says, there's a different love that goes from parents to children and children to parents. And most of the time in, let's say, healthy relationships of parents to children, parents really love their children so much that they'll do things totally to protect them. Sometimes children get a little out of hand. And I don't mean children under the age of 13. I mean, me as a child. I never did that to my parents, no. Anyway, but it's like parents love you so much that they don't have to tell them to love your children. They love you. They might get mad at you. They might yell at you. They might even punish you. But they love you. They love you very much. Milo, yes?
I have a question.
How much do they love you?
No. So it says that if you insult your own parents, you get in trouble. What if you say your mom or your
That's insulting your parents because you're using your mama. It's not your parents. Okay. So you have to be kind in our language. We don't insult others. You can't. And do you know who else is compared to parents? Your teachers. Your teachers, yeah. So you can't do that. You can't insult your teachers. You can't do whatever kind of jokes those are to your teachers. You have to be respectful. You got that? You're lucky. You're lucky. Okay? So again, the Torah talks about human relationships and families a lot. You want to learn how not to act as a family? Read the Torah. If you read the book of Genesis, there is more dysfunctional families amongst our ancestors Now, it's not so that we imitate them, but it's how we learn how not to do certain things. Remember this guy, Abraham? Why did he do dysfunctional with his own child? He almost killed his own son. He didn't want to, but Abraham was a bit of a fanatic at that time. He thought, well, I don't think it was April 1st. It wasn't an April Fool's joke, but it was a sense that he thought he was having faith. So what do you think the Torah is telling us when it says Abraham thought he was listening to God? Because I think when we say we heard God, we think we're hearing God. And he takes his son to a mountain, he ties him up, he's going to put him as a sacrifice. We might call that religious fanaticism. And the Torah teaches us that's not the way we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to do that. So how does God stop Abraham from doing that? What? Anybody remember that story? We read it every Rosh Hashanah. Yeah? Good thing we have younger kids here. You got it. Perfect. Okay, in your Lego Bible. Hey, you read it. And we read that story twice a year. We read that story. We read it once on the High Holy Days, Rosh Hashanah, and we also read it when it's that Torah portion. But again, God says, no, Abraham, you're a fool. You're not supposed to kill your own kid. And I'm going to stop you. For those of you who are vegetarians, you might not like the end of the story, but they sacrifice a ram instead. Yes?
Does that mean that Jesus was a fanatic and did stuff because he killed himself?
No, he didn't. The Romans killed him.
Whatever it was. No, actually, no. Christians.
Okay, we'll study that another time. Okay, so here's another one I want you to look at. Let's find the one I checked off. 11, verse 20, 26. Let's see. No, not 26. Sorry, I marked this down. So my handwriting, you would know why I can't read this. That's verse 20. Nope, that's not it. We'll keep going. Rabbi, come on. Okay, let's go to verse 22. This one we used last night. Who's going to read me 22 into 20, 22, 23, 24? Who's going to read that? No, you read one. Somebody else. Okay.
When a person who is a slave owner strikes a slave, male or female, with a rod, who dies there and then, it must be avenged. But if the victim survives a day or two, it is not to be avenged, since the one is the owner's property.
22.
One.
Page, verse 22. When two or more parties fight.
When two or more parties fight, and one of them pushes a pregnant woman, and a miscarriage results.
Know what a miscarriage is?
Nope.
When the baby doesn't survive.
When the baby dies, comes out and dies before the baby is born. Okay, when the fetus dies.
But no other damage ensues. The one responsible shall be fined according as the woman's husband may be exact. The payment to be based on reckoning. But if other damage ensues, the penalty shall be life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise.
Okay, so there's two parts of that I want us to look at. The first part we talked about last night. Did anybody know what happened here last night? We had a special Shabbat. So a couple of you are here. It was called Reproductive Shabbat. We are concerned with reproductive rights because some people in this country want to take those rights away from people, from women. They say that women shouldn't have those rights because they think that something called abortion, you know what abortion is? When they take the fetus out of the mother and don't let it live and don't let it be born, they say that should be against the law, that's killing a person. Judaism doesn't say that exactly. It says that until the baby comes out alive, until the baby's head comes out, or half the body, if it's called, comes out, breech, what it's called, that is a fetus. It is not yet a full person, and the mother's life takes precedence. In other words, the mother's life is more important, which allows Judaism to have a more liberal view of whether we allow what we call choice for the hands of women. Now here, it gets a little bit on the male side. It says the father or the man determines it. But here is a verse in the Torah, the same Bible that Christians use, that we teach, allows us to have certain types of abortions. It may not allow all abortions, but it does allow some. Now, you know, out there are a lot of laws now going on around the country that try to say women can't make that choice for themselves. Have you heard about that? I know this is a little advanced for some of you, but I want you to hear it. I thought about this. I wanted you to hear it because as you get older and as you get into your teen years, you're going to be starting to hear different things that are going on in this country that either grant rights or take rights away. Either treat people equally or don't treat people equally. Treat people fairly or don't treat people fairly. And if we go through our Torah, we find out that many of these laws try to teach us that we have to treat people equally and we have to treat them fairly. So this is one of the basics. Now, the last part of those verses was about an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Who knows what Tevye said about that? Who's Tevye? If everybody does an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, we're all going to go around toothless and with the eyes poking out. So the rabbis knew that. They knew that this doesn't matter. If you poke out my eye, and I poked out your eye, what would happen? It wouldn't be good. Well, okay, well, which eye would you take out of me? Which one of my eyes would you take out? Well, I only have one right. I have two right now. Thing is, though, I only see out of one of them. So is it fair if somebody takes out my good eye and then I'm totally blind if I only injured one of their eyes and they can still see? Or is it fair if they take out my bad eye and I still can see the same way? So the rabbis knew this. They knew that it's not fair. So this law of eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, life for a life is not about physical harm to the other person. And the rabbis say you go to an insurance agency and you figure out how much eyes are worth and teeth are worth and life, and you assess the amount. Any insurance people here? Whatever that's called, and you pay a fine if you do something wrong. I just want to go to one last law, and this one you'll be able to understand real well. Okay, it's the next chapter, 23. 26? No. It is 2320. Okay, page 518, chapter 2320. One more reader.
Let me find it. 23, what? 23:3? Oh. You shall not wrong nor oppress a stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
What does that mean? You should not wrong or oppress a stranger because you were strangers in the land of Egypt. What does that teach us? Yes, it's kind of like preventing racism. What it is saying to us, if you were treated badly in Egypt, that doesn't mean you're allowed to treat somebody else badly. What you should remember is not how bad you felt, but that it wasn't good, and therefore you don't treat other people like that. Yes?
So like one wrong doesn't make it right?
One wrong doesn't make a right. Two wrongs don't make a right. Two less make a right. No, I don't think so. Anyway, so, but what it is, this is the most repeated teaching in the entire Torah. You don't oppress the other. You don't oppress the person who's different than you. You have to remember that when you were treated that way, it was pretty awful. Therefore, it's upon us to make sure that we protect strangers, we protect people who are different than us, we protect people who need a little bit of help. And that is the most common law in the Torah. It said more than any other law. Remember that. We treat strangers, we treat foreigners, we treat people who are different, however they're different than us. You know anybody who's different than you? I am. Everybody is. We're all different from somebody else. And we are to treat them nicely, kindly, and protect them and help them when we can. Questions or comments? So even in this chapter, which just seems like a bunch of laws from the ancient world, are really laws that apply to us today. And it teaches us. Now, those aren't necessarily the national laws, but those are our Jewish laws. Oh, I won't go far, yeah.
We're going to be ready to go to our concluding prayer, so we're going to turn to 586 for Aleinu. We'll start with the second paragraph. Please rise.
Ki Adonai hu Elohim, Hashamayim mima'al, v'al ha'aretz, mitachat einod, ne'emar, Aya Adonai, l'melech al kol ha'aretz, v'yom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. We think now of our loved ones, those who are no longer with us. This Shabbat, we extend sympathies to all who mourn the recent deaths in our period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, for Carolyn Marcus, the mother of Gail Ferrioli, Genevieve Russo, the mother of Rebecca Russo, Louis Vigdor, the grandmother of Richard Vigdor, Renee Liebschutz, the mother of Liz Serling, and Sheila Ullman, the sister of Laurie Friedman. We also remember the fallen soldiers of Israel who are defending the country, David Shakuri and Hannah Drury, who passed away this week. We think of all those who have been lost and killed in this war, both Jews and Palestinians, the innocents, and we pray for them too. We remember the art sites, the anniversaries of the deaths of Henry Burns, Mildred Block, Mark Cohen, Ed Dosher, Sandy Fogarty, Stanley Funk, Joseph Gimple, Robert Harner, Leo Hoffman, Samuel Hutkoff, Don Irwin, Misha Koretsky, Ira Coleman, Marion Loeb, Mildred Montrose, Kathleen Molzer, Helen Prue, Harry Ross, Benjamin Rudin, Arthur Simon, Annette Solomon, Ann Wilson Stanger, Max Stein, Morton Weiner, Frida Rose Weinstein, and Lucille Weinstein. Are there any other names that anybody else would like to share? Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach v'yalam lomei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudishah b'richu. Leila mikol birkata v'shirata, dushbikata v'nekemata, namiran yama b'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael b'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol b'nei b'imru amen. And when it creates peace in the heavens above, let peace descend on us and all Israel, all the world, and we say together, you may be seated. And before we do Motzi, I just want to, I want to just thank everybody. Again, 7th grade, you're really doing great. I'm very proud of you. It's nice to see this. You led the service very well. You each came up here and read beautifully, and I'm really glad to see that that's what you're doing. So I'll let Mrs. Rosenberg finish off the service.
Thank you. Just so everyone knows, after the service, we have a kiddush, kind of a nicer little kiddush with all kinds of goodies in the social hall, and I will be running a slideshow continuously of our Better Together program, so you can look for your friends or see what the kids are doing when we go to Wolk Manor, and we will be going again this week on Wednesday. Actually, Mrs. Rizwan Toby, would you do before you guys get to do the kiddush and then, why not? You guys get to, Toby, come help Mom. Yeah. Let's do this. Do we know it? All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'rachem. All right. Close. Okay. Is it wine or grape juice? Ooh, smells like wine. Okay. Anyhow, I'm not gonna let you have it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Not letting him have the knife after he's had the wine. That seems like a bad combination. So. All right. Ooh, that was a really thick piece right there. So. You can take some. I'm gonna do a closing song here. Yeah, that's your. I'm gonna do a closing song. I'm also gonna sit for my closing song because I learned from Haftarah that I shake like a leaf when I'm up here. What time is it? Wow, we have so much time. You'd think, okay, closing song, we're within 3 to 5 minutes of being done. And having seen that challah, I actually kind of want to eat right now too. But I actually, we had decided, Mrs. Rosenberg and I, that we would do Oseh Shalom for a closing song. It seems like something familiar to everyone, and I thought, oh, this is an easy assignment. And then I started thinking, oh my gosh, but which one, right? How many different Oseh Shaloms do we know? Like how many? 18, possibly. There are probably 18 of them, including many that were written by, many different people have written Oseh Shalom settings, and including the son of someone who's presently in the room. So lots of different versions of Oseh Shalom to choose from. But ultimately, I kind of was rejecting the one, what's the one we all grew up with? What's the Oseh Shalom Bimramav? I was kind of like, oh, that feels so old school. I don't know. I feel
That's the best one. Charlie Faber says it's the best one. We could sing that one. You want to come up and lead that one first? Okay. I ultimately, I decided in favor of one by Debbie Friedman. And I'm wondering how many of the 7th graders know who Debbie Friedman is? Okay. Asa thinks she was a person. She either is or was a person. And her name starts with a D. That part is true. I can't deny any of that. So Debbie Friedman actually wrote many of the melodies that we're so familiar with that we take for granted that Debbie Friedman wrote them. And I think I first became aware of that. Unfortunately, Debbie Friedman passed in 2011. And I remember when that happened, the synagogue that I was at, everyone was in mourning over Debbie Friedman having passed. And I was like, who is this Debbie Friedman? And I'm like, do I know any of these melodies? And then I started hearing the melodies were, and I'm thinking, my gosh, I've known these melodies all my life, right? So this is what I mean by a lot of us take it for granted. So any of you remember, how did you learn the Aleph Bet? Aleph Bet, Bet, Aleph Bet, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey. Okay, who wrote that?
Debbie
Friedman. Debbie Friedman wrote that. What are some other, how about, what do we sing for healing? This is a good opportunity. This is like a test. What do we sing for healing? Right? Can you do no more than that? Okay, even if we don't know. Right, great. At least we know the melody. And guess who wrote that? Debbie Friedman wrote that, right? There are a lot of things that Debbie Friedman wrote. And so this Oseh Shalom, I think we should all know it because Debbie Friedman wrote it, and I think we'll be familiar. And actually watched her do it. It was like a Carnegie Hall, is that right? It was a performance of it, actually, and she was so good at getting the audience to get involved. I know we're not an audience per se, we're a congregation. It was a slightly different setting. I am not a song leader, but I was really, I'm kind of optimistic here, ambitious. I'd love to get us singing the way that she got people singing. So her version was the, let me think of, now I've got so many swirling through my head. So she's the, Oseh Shalom, Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. I'm glad we all know it. We keep going. Ve'ol Kol, you'll catch on. Israel, Ve'imeru Amen. It's kind of low. I guess I started a little bit low. Want to make it a little bit a hair higher? Or we should keep it. We'll just keep it where it is. Oseh Shalom. So what if we speed it up a little bit? Let's do it a little faster. Oseh Shalom, Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'ol Kol Yisrael Ve'imeru Amen. And did you know there's more? Who remembers more? Oseh Shalom, Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'ol Kol Yisrael Ve'imeru Amen. So this is where we get ambitious. Do we do that part again just to make sure we all kind of know that one? And then you know what I'm going to have us do? We're going to try for maybe one half the room to sing one part, one half the room to sing the other part. It may fall apart, but that's okay. We're having fun. At least I am. So let's do that part again, just to have it down. So that's the Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'ol Kol Yisrael Ve'imeru Amen. Okay, we're gonna do it this way. You guys are gonna be the Oseh Shalom Bimromav. We're gonna sing with them. We're gonna say Shalom Aleinu. And you have to keep it. Ve'ol Kol, because we're gonna get our part soon. Kol Ve'imeru Amen. You think you can keep doing that? Again. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'ol Kol Yisrael Ve'imeru Amen. All right, so we're no Debbie Friedman in the aggregate, but that was pretty respectable. So Oseh Shalom, and what does it mean? I should have asked this before we sang it. Maybe we would have sung it with certain pathos. What does it mean? So Charlie's going to check, which is great. We actually just saw the text at the end of Kaddish. Is anyone still open to 598? Otherwise, it's in the back also with the songs on 647. Anyone know what it means before they look in the book? I totally applaud looking at the resources we have. Anyone know what Oseh means? So it's the verb is lasot, and it means to make. or kind of, and I think in this context it does mean bring because of what we're asking for there to be made. What are we asking for there to be made? Peace, yes. On whom? Aleinu is on us. Ve'al kol Yisrael, all of Israel, not the state, the people, I presume. And what do we add? We say ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, which just gives it a more universal rate, so like the whole world and all the people. So next time you sing this song, think about what it means. Sorry, we didn't discuss it before we sang, and very good. Let's go, I guess. Let's go eat. Are we at the let's go eat part?
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Let's go eat.